Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video, and today I'm doing a video on why I like Doctor Who Wars of Mars. Now, yeah, it's super warm, so if you're kind of getting annoyed that I'm going and that, or that I don't sound as fluent as normal, or as hyped up as normal, maybe, it's because I'm like dying internally. In terms of, warmth and that. So, but, yeah, Wars of Mars, what a good episode. I mean, it's easily a standout from David Tennant's era, if not the modern series. I won't go so far to say what some people have said, which is, like, it's the best Doctor Who episode. Well, I don't think actually anyone said it's the best Doctor Who episode of all time, but a lot of people have said it's up there in their top 10. It wouldn't be in my top 10 maybe, but it's easily one of the best sort of standout-y episodes and highlights of the new series. It's overall just a really good sort of end of an era sort of story to tell, really. I think it really gives depth and a new side to the 10th Doctor in particular. It shows him being more vulnerable, more open about his darker sort of tone and that, and I think with this Doctor, you very rarely see that. You don't see the darkness of him a lot. When you do, it is dark, really dark, and that and intense. The Doctor Who episode itself, with the Flood as their enemy, a lot of people have been hammering for them to return. Me less so. I'm not too fussed with them coming back. A lot of people were like, oh my god, is that the Flood? Is this the Flood? Are they going to be referenced in this story? In Series 10, leading up to Series 10? But yeah, I think this is a really good story because it feels like a prequel, no, not a prequel, sorry, a sequel even, to the Fires of Pompeii episode in some way, which is another story that I really like, but because it feels like, yeah, like Fires of Pompeii, but for the Doctor specifically, whereas not for the audience, which is interesting, and it's interesting to see how much time, like getting another story about like time and how time is for the Doctor, in the sense that he knows the events of the future here, but he also, so to him, even though it's 2059 I think it is, and that in the future, he's still like, actually this is, you know, the past for me. So it just gives you that scope of, holy crap, he's an alien. And I love the bit before the pre-title sequence bit with the Gadget robot. Oh my god, Gadget is amazing. I love Gadget. Some minute criticisms would probably be, obviously, when they're on Earth, it's like, really, is that the future? Doesn't look that futuristic to me. But it's to the latter end of the story, so you can sort of give leeway there. Secondly, gives me a bit, it's a bit of a nitpick, but it is a thing that bothers me as I've watched it later on, and that I've thought, okay, the TARDIS is really difficult to pilot, and the Doctor says stuff about, yeah, how difficult it is a lot of the time, and yet a robot can do it. Yeah, granted, the Doctor's behind that robot, telling the robot what to do, but all we see is it, like, sort of spin something around and then be able to pilot the TARDIS, so, but, you know, swings and roundabouts, I guess. You know, visually it looks stunning still, fairly, well, it's fairly dated, but it still holds up fairly nicely. The crew, it feels like such a original sort of hardcore sort of Doctor Who-y Base Under Siege story, like what they call them now, or what we as Doctor Who fans have come accustomed to calling them. Even Base Under Siege stories. Yeah, like, it, in the sense that, you know, you're in this secluded area with these monstrous, horrific, like, things, and the clock is ticking, and there's action music, it's funny in little bits and pieces here and there, it's dramatic, definitely, like that bit where Adelaide Brooke, like, kills herself because she wants to stop the Doctor doing what the Doctor's doing. It's intense, it's gripping, it's well shot and directed, and it's really good music as well, and again, I think what cheeses me off with this one is that a lot of people just are like, oh my god, Russell T Davies, what a brilliant writer, and it's like, don't get me wrong, he is a good writer, and a really good Doctor Who writer too, but Phil Ford also gets a mention here because this is his first debut in Doctor Who, and unfortunately, since this one there's only been Into the Dalek really, which also co-written by a head writer, which is odd really. I'm surprised that Phil Ford hasn't been allowed to write his own just pure Doctor Who story, as that would be really interesting. As he's also written a Torchwood episode, the one where Gwen's wedding one in series 2, almost said season then, in series 2 of that bit of Torchwood. I can't remember the name of that episode but that was a really good episode though. And I'm a big fan of Into the Dark. I enjoyed it more than I hated it anyway. What bothers me with these episodes, or these sorts of episodes, in the sense that when there's a head writer and a writer collaborating on a Doctor Who script, it always bothers me because you never know how much is the head writer and how much is the writer. So I could be praising something and then it's actually Russell T Davies's credit should go to him, but then I could be saying this and it should go to Phil Ford, not Russell T Davies. So do you know what I mean? The Flood, they're phenomenal creatures, don't get me wrong, although I don't want them to return really, or I'm not itching for them to return. I would like that, but I wouldn't hate it, I wouldn't love it by any means. I'm just neutral about it. But yeah, they're really eerie with the cracked mouths, and it's a really intense, dark, gritty, as I say, story. Again, feels like proper Doctor Who, well, not proper Doctor Who, but classic Who, in the sense that it's, as I say, a base under siege story. And yeah, it's a really good David Tennant story, as I say. Like, David Tennant at times doesn't, as the Doctor, doesn't seem to be saying a lot, but seems to be able to emote a lot via his face and that, and just that bit when he stands up from the flames and that is bone-chillingly well shot, and you know, it's almost like a fan's dream fantasy of seeing this hero turn almost Valeyard-like, which is a Sixth Doctor reference for those of you who don't know, but yeah, like eerily Master-like as well. And I'm not a massive fan of the Ood appearing right at the end. It's very Tom Bakery The Watcher, but not as good personally, and the fact that it just vanishes and it's just there for the sake of being there, really, it just felt a bit odd. And I think what I've always had a bit of a criticism about forever really, or well, since I've been able to see Waters of Mars, End of Time Part 1 and 2 in retrospect, as a whole sort of string of 3/2 episodes, depending on your personal preference of a two-parter, I've always had this sort of longing to see how the Doctor's story, the next one, would have ended up if he they elongated and stretched out the darker aspect of the Doctor. Imagine if he was dark when he first met the Master, and the Master was like, oh my god, yeah, oh my god, we could be a team or something. Do you know what I mean? Because he's foaming at the mouth that actually they're not different, they're the same. But then the Doctor even has to kind of actually, it's like, whoa, jeez, yeah, maybe I have gone too far because I'm getting close to what you are, and I usually detest what you are, so how bad am I? And that's why he goes good, instead of just being like, oh, okay, Adelaide Brooke shot herself, now I'm good. Do you know what I mean? Like, her act, yes, propels him to realise that what he did was wrong, because he sort of got the power of time, and the time stuff got to his head, being the last of the Time Lords, and having all of time and space to himself, it all went to his head, and the Doctor done goofed. But the thing is, it's like, at the end of the day, yeah, her action of killing herself is very powerful and very dramatic and very intense, I'm not disputing that, but I think seeing it elongate and play out a bit more would have been interesting, for me anyway, as a viewer. And that, as we very rarely see that sort of aspect of the Doctor, but I think it's because, as a character, to be honest, he pushes it down so much as a character, and that's probably why when it does come out, it's even more vile and more toxic. Like, the more you see it, you would expect, understandably and psychology-wise, or psychologically speaking, that it would be toned down if he's feeling like that more. Like, you know, when he's a bumbling idiot, at times it has to be toned down because, let's say, the 12th Doctor or just the current Doctor, because at times he can't always just be like that, but like 10 or 100%, you know, bumbling idiot like Matt Smith all the time. Even Matt Smith had his limits. Do you know what I mean? Like, in an episode from point A to point B, he can't 110% be bumbling idiot mode. He has to have, you know, peaks and or ups and or downs, and it's the same with his sort of darker alter ego almost, and or yeah, like toxic, sort of darker, twisted, hidden self almost. And as I say, I think that's where it's more interesting when we do see it, because it's such a rarity in, say, episodes like Face of Raven at the end of Face of Raven, or Waters of Mars, or Family of Blood and Human Nature, where he's like, you know, stands up, or that guy sees him and he's like stood up and he's like, he never yelled, he never raised his voice, he was just disappointed in us or something. And then you see all these different ways he's sort of tortured this family of horrific aliens who tried to take human life and or his life, and you know, the thing was, he was always, he'd run away from us because he was trying to be merciful, you know, but they just didn't understand that, and they just wanted his life form and all energy. But I'm getting off topic, I guess. But yeah, overall, I would give Waters of Mars a 10 out of 10. I adore this one. And I mean, it's got a little bit of a cheeky reference to the Ice Warriors, which at the time I don't think I probably understood the reference, but obviously now, with the Ice Warriors being in the modern series and or the classic series, now, I'll be honest, I haven't seen the classic series Ice Warriors story. Yeah, I know, I'm a not real Doctor Who fan, clearly, but the modern ones, yeah, I have seen. I just haven't got around to seeing the classic series ones, unfortunately. But yeah, nice cheeky little reference to the Ice Warriors and Adelaide Brooke, and the team is just such a well fleshed out Doctor Who team, and one of the first sort of really good supporting casts as well, with, as I say, Adelaide Brooke and the guy who plays, or the guy who has those like sort of mech-like things to control Gadget. Gadget was kind of funny, and yeah, some of the characters are really cool, and I love the costume design of all the characters as well, like in their sort of, yeah, like garb and that, and yeah, the space suits and the sort of, yeah, run down, sort of ruggedy, ragged sort of clothes they've got as well. So yeah, I'd give Waters of Mars a 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching, comment, rate and subscribe.